Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pot of Gold podcast. This is going to be episode 29, but I'm doing something slightly different today because instead of just an interview, I'm actually having a two-way conversation with another transactional lender. His name is Tim Clark, and he also does EMDs and double closes and similar transactions that are escrow protected. But the conversation we're going to have today is going to be about lead generation, the importance of building business relationships, and how referrals are just kind of that pot of gold that makes everything work really, really nice and smooth. So without further ado, here's the episode.
All right, welcome to a combination podcast of Gator Spotlight and Pot of Gold. I have Nathanael here with me today, and we're both transactional funders, but we've done different things in our past. Nathanael, tell me a little bit, just real quick, what is it you're doing right now?
Oh yeah, so I'm also in transactional lending. I focus on helping wholesalers with earnest money deposits. We also help end buyers on the right deal as long as the EMD is refundable, and double close transactions. Pretty much anything that's escrow protected, right? We can go into that a little bit more if you'd like.
Yeah, no, that's great. So right out of the gate here, you told me a story. I'd like to hear a little more about that story of that referral that you got at a Squat Up Summit. So how did that
Oh yeah,
happen?
yeah. Basically, the whole process or the idea behind what we're talking about today is the fact that without leads, you don't really have a business because those leads are where your business is going to be coming from. And so one of the things that I learned when I was at Squat Up Summit was the value of pre-formed relationships with people that are related to what you're doing. Because I had a specific amount of money that I wanted to lend or put to work at the time. And I was looking for somebody that I could do a deal with that could help me with that. And I talked to somebody that I already established a relationship with over Zoom and the lending community that we're a part of, which is Gator with Pace Morby. And he told me, hey, I know somebody who needs about that much money for a deal that they're doing. It's structured slightly different than what you typically do, but let me introduce you to him. And so through the course of everything, I got to introduce to this other guy, and he was looking for closing costs for securing a fix and flip that he wanted to do. And the reason he needed the money right then was because the sellers wanted to move to Texas as quickly as possible. And he knew that he was going to be getting a check from one of his construction company's projects that he could pay me back on. And so through the course of everything, we come to an agreement. We set up a JV agreement. We determined what the terms were. And originally, we decided that we were going to use his personal property as collateral, which after talking to the real estate attorney, we found out was not something you should be doing. You want to avoid usury laws as much as possible. We want to make money, not go to jail. And
Exactly.
so we had to get a little bit creative and restructure the deal. And what happened is instead of being a private money lender, I became a private money partner. And I had 50% ownership of the asset until he paid me back. And I exited the deal with what's called a quit claim deed. And so once he paid off that amount that he owed me, I exited ownership using that document.
That's awesome. And then how much money was made on this transaction, this short-term lending?
Yeah, so I lent him $14,000 and I made about $3,000 in 28 days.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
it was a pretty decent deal for my first one.
That's great. And so, yeah, what we're talking about here is lead generation. And I'm just going to say it, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is referrals, because those in the future, that's what's going to bring in business. That's going to bring incoming leads. But when you're just starting out, whether you're starting out as a funder or a wholesaler or a real estate investor, like where do those leads come from?
I
So there's,
certainly didn't know that myself when I first
yeah,
started. Like I've been a W-2 employee most of my life. And so starting into entrepreneurship a year or two ago, it's been about a year and a half now that I didn't really know where to start. I was just doing things to see what stuck. I was trying to talk to people, say, hey, what did you do that worked? And eventually you come to an understanding of the different channels that you can make communication with. But really, that's all I lead is somebody that's giving you permission to communicate with them.
yeah, that's awesome. And so what we've learned is there's really four ways to generate leads. You can generate leads through cold contacts, which is where most people start because they don't know anybody. They're just reaching out to strangers. Then you've got warm leads, which is people that you already have met and have a relationship with. And so now you can begin to build that relationship and cultivate that relationship. And those are much more powerful than cold leads. Then you've got free content, which is creating things like Instagram posts, YouTube videos like we're doing right here, whatever. Those can, in the long run, those can bring leads in to your business. And when people see you out there, they'll reach out to you. So that's huge. Now, you've just started doing a lot of that free content piece. And you said you had an idea, because the fourth kind is where you got to spend money. That's where
Yeah.
you do pay per click, some kind of advertising, all those kind of paid for advertisements. They can reach a larger audience, but it also costs a lot of money. So you had an idea how you might break into that. What was your idea with that, Nathaniel?
Yeah, so the idea is that as I'm posting free content and trying to add value, educate people, entertain them, inspire them, I would measure the analytics of the free content that I'm doing. And then anything that performs well is something you would turn into ad content. And
Mm-hmm.
so that it would get more interaction, because that's what we're really focused on right now is attention. And I think the biggest problem that we're all going to face as new business owners or even new real estate investors is that nobody knows what we're doing. And so the point of what we're doing with the lead generation is to just get people to know, this is what I do, this is the value I can provide, and I would like to serve you in this capacity.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. For most people, you're going to start off with those cold leads. You're going to be messaging people on Facebook, or maybe putting out some Instagram posts, things like that. Maybe calling people that you already know, go to live networking events. Those kinds of things are great ways to generate warm leads and then continue to follow up with the warm leads. Now, you've done some research and you put together a spreadsheet of that's, I think, is going to be very valuable to people in the real estate space. Tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, so back when I first started into Gator, I was part of this thing or event that Pace Morby did for his students. He called it Project Forward.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things that he taught in that course was the fact that the whole point of business is to provide value for people. And one of the best ways to start showing people that you're someone that they can know or trust is to provide free value. And
Yeah.
we started learning about how to pick your market and what makes a good market. So what I did is I went to the US government's census website, where they have all the data on the population growth and the sizes in each county across the entirety of the United States. And I took all this information that's available for everybody to go look at, and I collected it all in one place, and I organized it in a format that's a lot easier to read than what they have there. And then there's like headers at the start of the spreadsheet that you can click on the state that you want to look at. And then I organized it all according to how big is the population, how much has the population grown from 2010 to 2020. And the two things you're going to be looking for are large populations and large growth. And the reason for that is because it implies demand. You're going to have a lot more success where there's a lot more volume. If you're focusing all your efforts on some little rural county in Kentucky, you're probably not going to find someone who's going to be an end buyer for the deal that you lock in as a wholesaler. So yes, there's more competition where there's lots of buildings, but it's also going to be the place you're going to have an easier time making deals happen.
That's great. And so you compiled this whole list off this with this recent data, but this is the cool part. You're willing to share that with anybody, just have them reach out to you. How can they get a hold of that list? You're willing to share that for free, right?
Oh
How
yeah,
do you get a hold
definitely.
of that?
This is something I want to give to people, because not only is it going to help new people who are trying to break into their first market, but it might also help people narrow down a new market to break into if they decided they want to expand their operations into a new specific area. And of course, there's going to be more research involved. This is just a broad list. It gives you an idea of where to start. But I feel like that was valuable, and it was something that I wanted to know when I was first starting out. So the best place to contact me is on Instagram. My Instagram handle is on the screen under there. It's at Nathanael_Opoulos. And you just message me the word population and your email address, and I'll make sure you get a copy of that spreadsheet.
Awesome. That's great. And if you want to get a hold of us, first of all, I just want to say this has been great. Hopefully this is helpful to especially some new wholesalers out there. But we're both a resource to help you close your deals. You can get a hold of Nathaniel, like he said, on his Instagram handle there. You can get a hold of us here at gatortoclose.com. And we'd love it if you all would and subscribe to our YouTube channels. Mine's obviously right here. It says Gator Spotlight, and Nathaniel's is Pot of Gold, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the Pot of Gold podcast on YouTube. I was
Yeah,
thinking about putting it on other places like Spotify and Apple iTunes, but we're going to figure out exactly what that looks like in the future. Right now, it's just on YouTube.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, so get a hold of that resource from Nathaniel, reach out to him, reach out to either one of us, and stay tuned in the future. We're going to just keep trying to add value. It's funny you mentioned that Project Forward, because that is exactly why I started the Gator Spotlight podcast. I had the idea for it for over a year. And then when Pace challenged us, okay, you got to do it, take action, pull the trigger, right? So that's another thing that you got to do if you want to be successful, is you just got to start taking action. Don't wait till all your ducks in a row, because they'll never all be in a row. If you wait for things to be perfect,
definitely
you'll never pull the trigger. You just got to start taking action. And it sounds like you and I did that at the same time through Project Forward. So it's cool that both of our podcasts were born out of that same training. Thank you to Pace Morgan, right?
And it's really been transformative for me, because I went through a lot of dark things that kind of reduced my self-worth. I was assaulted, and just I didn't see myself as someone valuable to the world for a very long time. And the fact that I'm able to go out and talk to people now and interact with other humans, it's just been such a good thing for me. And I'm so grateful to Pace Morby for the fact that he is out there doing what he's doing, and he's willing to share his knowledge with other people. Yes, there are price walls behind some of that information and that knowledge, but he does a lot of stuff where he provides free value. And it's incredible to me that I managed to find him when he was not on my radar at all. It was like the very first day that I decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur, all of a sudden he was there on my feed. So it's odd how that happens.
Good stuff. And shout out to Ryan as well in Fundwise. That's how you and I met, was through our Fundwise community. If you're interested in becoming a transactional lender, look up Fundwise or just reach out to us and we'll connect you up. But that'll wrap it up for our dual podcast here, Gator Spotlight, Pot of Gold. And it's been good. And look forward to working together and doing some deals together in the future, Nathaniel.
Well, and I think that's what it's all about, is figuring out how to do repeat business with other people, because the more repeat business you get, the more money you're going to make over the long term. Making $3,000 in a single month's awesome, but it's not life-changing. You got to make sure that you're continually looking for new people to work with and doing repeat business with the people you already know.
Absolutely. And again, that's where it comes back full circle to the pot of gold of referrals. When people know and trust you, they're going to refer other people that know and trust them. And that's when you're going to have those incoming leads, and your business is just going to blow up. So here's to blowing up 2025. Let's go. Let's blow the lid off and have a great year. All right. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you.